So the video you're about to watch is kind of a random change of plans for today's video. We were originally going to post something else, but I kind of had this random thought and decided to hit the record button. So I hope that you enjoyed today's video and let me know what you think in the comments. I'm super excited to see, but just know that this is kind of a frazzled message because it is like a random organic thought, if you will. So let me know and I would love to hear your opinion. Back to regularly scheduled content. If you haven't guessed by now, one of my favorite things about my channel here is telling the stories of the dragons and my life with the dragons and with magic and with faith and religion, and all that means is that I love exploring the art of telling stories, and there's a magic when it comes to telling stories, and there's magic when it comes to telling our story, and it comes to being honest about what we want to say, what we want to share, and the story we imagine, and the story we live, and the story we witness around us. All of these stories are intertwined and influenced by each other, and I love to explore the storytelling throughout human evolution and human belief and just the human experience in general. I think everybody has their own unique way to live their life, and I like to explore the possibilities of what happens when I share the stories that most people would keep to themselves, and when I share the stories that I am most afraid to speak about. And this is why, if you're new here, assalamu alaikum, marry me, and welcome back to your daily dose of DragonFaether. My name is Azura DragonFaether, the Draconic Priestess, and today I am telling you the storytelling is the magical part of it, because language ultimately is one of the most powerful, most hidden in plain sight magics, if you will. And a lot of people make the comparison that oh, that's why we call it spelling. You're like casting a spell kind of thing. And I totally get that. And there is a lot of truth to that. But ultimately, it's what we resonate with and the feeling we invoke within ourselves and experience in association to certain words and certain languages and certain sounds and words, and for what I'm trying to say. Even when it comes to certain invocations, you can say things in a certain way that makes you feel a certain way, but the second that you change the words that you're chanting or the words that you're speaking, even the language you're speaking it in, it completely changes the feeling of it. And that is kind of what I think is really special and magical. And when you tell your story, and when you aren't shy about the different intersections of the storytelling, the complex parts of it, you lean into the irony, you lean into the conflict, you lean into the contradiction, you lean into the uncertainty, you lean into the messiness and the chicken scratch, and you lean into all of it, and you just explore the adventure of the storytelling. You're gonna find the magic. And this is why I believe books in particular hold such a certain sacred energy, and why maybe a lot of you are even here, right? A lot of you guys know me from my books that I, make and I bookbind. Shout out to Scalebound, my Dragon Grimoire, Dragon Book of Shadows, right? But the point that I'm trying to say is that if you don't write your story down, you're gonna forget yourself. And that is kind of what I want to demonstrate within the next week here on the channel. And I'm going to be sharing many different parts of my path and my practice and my spiritual craft in a series of Sacred Storytimes, which are basically just going to be some of the most pivotal and profound and important parts of my practice along the way to get to where I am today. Not all of the story, but just certain story times and experiences that I have had both with dragons and with others that I think, are worth sharing and talking about, and, seeing if you guys have had similar experiences, because that's kind of my favorite part. And I also wanted to say thank you guys so much for all of your support on yesterday's video about the Draconian legacy, essentially, of just how we have Draconianism today as a spiritual and occult practice and where it evolves from. And it was really our first deep dive with the dragons, if you will. We're kind of experimenting with more in-depth videos about the draconic path and just about magic and about spirituality and just anything the dragons want to talk about, basically. But this is kind of my favorite part of the journey, in the sense of it's about discovering your story, and part of my story is the dragons, and it's always been the dragons, and telling my story of how my path and my practice has evolved with the dragons staying the constant by my side. You know, I've had this banner for so long, or tapestry I should call it, but it's about the adventure and the fun and the discovery and the magic along the way, and just being alive and being grateful to be yourself. And ultimately your story is the best one to tell because you're the only one who can tell it. And that is what I really want to demonstrate here, not only in the next week of the Sacred Storytimes that we're about to jump into, but also with the daily dose of DragonFaether, in the sense that this is just daily stories of how I explore and experience and have walked this life and continue to do so, and how it evolves and changes and stays the same, and comparing and contrasting and learning about you guys and your crafts along the way too. It's just my favorite thing in the world. So totally join the Hatchling Clan Discord server to learn more about the hatchlings and share your story and your storytelling. It's the first link in the description down below. And we would just love to meet you over there, so don't be shy. And I will just leave you guys with this before we head out and wrap up this week, I guess you could say. We've been doing the daily dose for about a month now, and actually, yeah, today's the 31st day we've done it. So I'm just so grateful to all of your guys' support along this endeavor of the daily dose of DragonFaether, and we're just kind of seeing where the adventure takes us. And right now I know that I'm just supposed to share the daily dose of DragonFaether with you guys the way that I have been, and continue to bounce off your ideas and share the journey that I have had to get here, and share how my craft has changed and what it looks like now and what has stayed the same and what has evolved and what has been removed and all of that. And it's just allow yourself to shapeshift, okay? The best part about storytelling is the shape-shifting that takes part within the storyline. So thank you guys so much for watching today's episode, and if you haven't seen yesterday's episode, don't forget to click the cards. It is the legacy of the Draconian path, and you're definitely going to want to check this out for context in our future videos, especially if you want to learn about Draconianism 101. It's kind of like an intro crash course into how we get to modern day Draconian practice. And I'll see you next week for our Sacred Storytime series. Because this video was kind of such a random thought, it is a little impromptu intro to this new series we're introducing with the Sacred Storytimes. And it's kind of just the magic of storytelling, and how the stories that we live are the stories that we love to tell, and the ones that have the most stakes in sharing. So I hope you enjoy, and thank you so much for watching. And until next time, stay freaky, little hatchlings. Good office, blessed be. Amen. And please follow me so I don't get lost.
We'll see you back next time for your